That is... Wow. Talk about a very close to Sawyer back. 9 out of 10 in the entire game. Anyone's Legend very content with these picks. This is what they want to run in this game for FPX. Without the Maokai, I wonder how they'll operate this time around, right? Wukong, his forms of engage, a lot more, you know, nuanced. You typically want more lockdown on top of the Wukong ult. So with that general lack of additional CC outside of that, let's see how Anyone's Legend get on, as the comp is the same from game number 2. So what we outlined in game number 2 is effectively the exact same for game number 3 for them. With FPX, it's about adjusting and trying to approach without that Maokai in the jungle.
Yeah, I just almost died, by the way.
What?
A little bit of water. I don't know if you heard me comment. But I apologize for that, but we're getting into an interesting affair here because, yes, while we have an incredible match of the week waiting right around the corner, AL, this is important, man. The amount of times we've seen this team come out and state how much pressure they feel under. Xiaohao changing his nickname on the Korean server. You'll see the tweet hopefully at some point. But the fact that we've also seen Xiaohao come out in his post-game interview of the win that AL got and was in tears, right? The stress that these guys come under, this is their day-to-day life. And AL winning that early game in game number 1 and faltering game 2, you need to see that heartening comeback for them because you don't want another disheartening 2-1 loss in your record.
No, you really don't. It'll be, like you say, it's plain and simple, very disheartening to go under that kind of knife. And it is kind of competition, especially in the LPL. You know, the bar is so high so often that, yeah, to be honest with you, the pressure you can come under, it feels like it's probably higher than even other regions in some particular positions. So you want to be able to perform, right? There are so many talented players in the region. The LDL system in particular being so extensive does mean, you know, I'm sure if you feel like you're underperforming, that there's always someone right behind you to fill the shoes that you're trying to fill. So for Anyone's Legend, see what they can do as, again, you know, sticking to their guns of the draft that they had in game number 2 and, you know, the same kind of style as game number 1 as well, with that side lane threat they want to put down. Again, very curious about how FPX want to handle, you know, this game in comparison to 1 and number 2. Just because without that hard engage, they looked pretty lost in game number 1. Game number 2 with Maokai, a lot more direction, and Wukong can offer that same kind of, you know, backline disruption, but it's not quite the same as this big AoE rolling piece of CC coming at you.
Very true. We actually want to check in at the jungle matchups as well, as we see opposite sides. Pathing's Packer quickly coming to bot side, seeing if maybe something can happen there. As if Xiaohao wanted to try to find something in top side, maybe there was an option, but so far it'll be just an early, easy game for both junglers. We're still looking at that influence, looking at that proactivity coming out of both of them.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, game number 2, I called for Hacker. I wanted to see him, you know, go and abuse ZDZ, stop that from being the win con of Anyone's Legend. I'd actually much prefer a lot of the inverse in this game, number 3, from Xiaohao, right? I think that whilst, yes, the game is so often about AD carries and how you can really put them on a platform to perform in the later stages, I really want to see ZDZ get given the resources required to, you know, match the similar level of pressure that he was able to put down in game number 1 in this game number 3 here, because you can certainly do it on the pick like Jax.
We've seen it time and time again, but we've also seen so many damn clips of this Renekton pick going off. So want to see how that matchup kind of comes to bear here, especially with some of the fun we had from top lane in our earlier series as well. The first dragons are coming up, and I wonder with Xiaohao pathing down towards this bottom side if that does become a priority for Anyone's Legend.
Yeah, definitely could do clear 2 camps, maybe get level 5. He's quite far away from it, but he had a full clear for
They don't have the
previous
push.
one. Don't have the push, but if they allow FPX to base, then they'll have the numbers, right? And that definitely is a slightly more important thing. They're going to push them back out and not allow them to base, so seems like Xiaohao might just be on another full clear antic mission. Not that there's anything particularly wrong with that, but it does mean not a lot of additional action to be had for now.
Slow and steady goes the race. Both starting out as tortoises a little bit. Maybe turning into a hare at some point. But I actually thought that Hacker, I guess with the lack of vision, makes it a little bit more difficult, but was going to try to move down towards that bottom side of the map. Just goes for his solidified chicky nuggies. And Xiaohao's hovering mid. Oh, try to get a repeat deja vu of that Game 2 gank that they had.
Yeah, it gets so awkward, right? I think just that brief hesitation of Nico going invisible on your end, you really don't want to scuff the ultimate, so Harder doesn't feel comfortable to commit the flash.
All right, Hacker will end up going for it. So, early dragon secure for FPX. Feels a little bit good as they've adapted into the series here. Blue side, you know, third time's the charm.
Yeah, we'll say it like that. Third time's the charm. Let's get this dragon. That's what FPX is saying. They should secure it. Zora will get information that it's going on, but he shouldn't be able to disrupt it as Care comes to back up the jungler. And so there's Chocho. Maybe they look for a fight as people make their way out, but I think just a little bit too far away to make that a reality. We'll however pick up the Skull Crab. So lose out on the objective. We'll see now if FPX can continue that same objective dominance that they had in game number 2. Xiaolahu does lose out on this trade for now.
Dominus. Speaking of, you know, we always get baited. We always get baited. Every time. Because it looks like it's so promising. Somebody's got to die, right? Well, maybe we're looking at bot lane for that now. Hi, boy. A bit of trouble there. Taking a decent amount of poke on the way out.
It is so often how it is. You overstep, Jinx, just rocket you down. They really want the plate. That's what they're eyeing up for. Hi, boy. You got it. Is that solo as well? I don't think Zora actually got the credit for that. So, really nice. Just because, of course, splitting the gold feels a little bit bad. Care. Oh.
They do get a nice little bit of move on the mid lane, but Care's too quick with the flash.
Yeah, and that was a really good prediction from Xiaohao as well. You know, Nico going invisible just still predicts where he's going to turn out, so Care is forced to use the flash. Now, if they look for a repeat, no flash should mean that Care should go down. I like that Anyone's Legend are being proactive around this mid lane. I still feel like I want to see the proactivity around the top side, though. We'll see how they decide to change things up potentially or keep things the same, as this Herald is spawning up, and with no Ultima and Xiaohao, it does mean that, you know, you would imagine that FPX is going to feel really, really comfortable attacking this Herald.
You got to try to get something, especially with the proactivity we've seen the Rift Herald provide in this series already. It feels really good for FPX to get this. And maybe try to funnel it into either Care and Xiaolahu. I obviously think LWX is always a good candidate, but I would actually like to see a little bit of that gold and resource given to one of these solo laners as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we'll kind of just have to wait and see, but I do feel like, again, you put Xiaolahu ahead, then ZDZ gets, you know, less value in the immediate future, but LWX is the late game insurance hyper carry ability.
True.
We know what he does on this Jinx pick time and time again, right? We know what the stats were roughly the other day. It was something ridiculous. 33, 34, 35% of his team's damage throughout the entire split.
It is actually ridiculous. Also, just kind of a trend among ADCs to be a huge percentage. I mean, Hope earlier was like 34, 35, something like that. Oh, so close, LWX, but can't get it. Mel actually probably saw them, but that back does come through. We'll look top side now. ZDZ connects the Counter-Strike. There's the Grandmaster's Challenge, and Xiaohao misses the Arctic Assault. They do get the lockdown flash. Make sure First Blood goes to AL.
Okay, it was a little bit messy, weren't it? It was, but they do pick up the kill. Did he walk over the wall, or did he come through the other opposite side of the Dry Brush? I'm not too sure. Either way, if the observer's highlighting it, I presume Xiaohao did walk over that wall. Or the fact that actually it's not in the bush is what just killed Xiaolahu. That's probably what it is. As, yeah, ZDZ commits for the 1v1. Xiaolahu gets baited in, and Xiaohao's there to clean it up. Let's see, is it because... I guess just, yeah, he walks through that side, but I think just the fact that the ward isn't in the bush in the first place just gives Xiaolahu no inclination that this could potentially be going on. Really well played. A lot of things dodged out on here, but Xiaohao still able to get the stacks going, and the lockdown is easy.
Look at mid lane though. Zora finds an engage on the care. Does get that moment, but the
Wow.
push back and delivered to Xiaohao.
Easy pickings, really, really easy pickings. So continuing to pick on care here just to ensure that they've always got something to play with and around. But kills go into Xiaohao's back pocket, right? It's not going into his ears. So we'll see whether or not, you know, maybe Xiaohao can kind of slingshot himself ahead in the gold department and become really obnoxious for some of these damage-dealing members of FPX. But speaking of damage-dealing members, LWX is going to be receiving a gold package right now.
That's huge. We've seen it go consistently to LWX in these games, and that is exactly where you want to see. Although I wanted some power from the solo lanes, still feels good to get LWX up there, but he gets punished for sticking around to try to get the plates. Does get his cleanse burned.
Not the end of the world, but cleanse being down does make him vulnerable to a Xiaohao ultimate, so has to definitely be careful. Chocho's going to have to stick around always just to ensure that his AD carry doesn't fall, but being chunked out at this stage, right? Dragon's up in 10 seconds, and FPX no doubt would have wanted to have contested this very heavy-handedly. Without their bottom lane, it could just give anyone's legend all the information and the time in the world. Steal this one away. Maybe Hacker gets in behind him. That's the only way they can get this dragon. Let's see how they handle it.
There ain't no way, Jose. Is AL just going to be able to secure this one. The lane push was going through. Maybe LWX? Nope, not even close. AL make it out with a dragon. We are now split in that regard. AL's now looking in mid lane here. What can they get harder, even more ahead with now that Xiaohao has 2-0 to his name?
Xiaohao on this Sejuani could be pretty far ahead here, as I believe that's the Divine Sunderer picked up for ZDZ.
It was indeed.
A bit earlier, so that's going to make trading definitely a lot easier in this matchup. Here is a collapse, maybe.
TP come down.
It wanted to happen.
So not going to find anything just yet. Sora's going to be a little salty. He's like, ah, no, I'm going to put the ward back. He's there. Harder going back to mid lane, though, so a bit of a scare moment for AL, but they do make it out without anything going too awry. Just get the reset back out, and a super slow game. We thought earlier was molasses. I don't know what's worse than molasses, but this is that.
Can I... Mazel, what does molasses mean?
You not know what molasses is? It's like syrup.
No.
That's why the whole like thing is like you're slower than molasses. It's like you're slower than like if you would drip the molasses down like a ramp or something. You are slower than that. Just imagine like super thick like pancake syrup, like super thick.
Okay,
so like when you let it
that.
run, it goes like super slow.
Okay.
You know, that's the
Right,
whole
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, now I'm there. Speaking of molasses, I think the opposite of slow being fast. If CDC wanted to, oh yeah,
yeah, but you know, there is a pretty mobile Renekton there.
Do you know what I think would have been funny? If CDZ just flashed over the wall, just for funnies, you know, just continue the chase.
Honestly, it'd be a good trend here in this game.
Yeah, I'd like to see some action pretty soon, but I feel like for anyone's legend, they can keep this pace going right now, because ZDZ is now winning out in this matchup 1v1. Harder and iBoy are kind of scaling up quite comfortably. But for FPX, they do have tools, right? Let's not understate that. LWX is definitely being slingshotted ahead a fair amount, has a whole bunch of plays underneath his belt, and he is Jinx. So we know.
And first turret.
And first turret. So we know eventually he's going to do the Jinx thing. It will just kind of happen, but it's about if anyone's legend can deny that from happening. And they are the ones with the agency tools at the end of the day, so I do always anticipate that if a fight kicks off, it will be from their fruition, their aggression.
I love that you say do the Jinx thing, but at this point, you know, I've heard it with like Zeri and stuff too. Couldn't if we're getting real, maybe a little bit too introspection. Couldn't you just say it about every champion? You just go down the list. Yeah, until the Renekton does the Renekton thing, and then, you know, and then Wukong does the Wukong thing. Maybe that's how play-by-play should be.
But
It's like, yo, Wukong's going in, do the Wukong thing, and
you know, I think you're right, but I think, you know, there is a certain level of absent-mindedness that can come from being able to do it from the AD carry role compared to other positions.
isn't that normal though for the AD carry role?
Yeah, being a little brainless, just right-clicking things. Yeah, I do agree. As
I just want to see the
things that
numbers
aren't so
go. Burr.
brainless,
We got the Burr going though. Hacker goes down, and that'll be 2 kills to AL.
easy pickings. Really, really easy stuff here for anyone's legend. And again, you know, they're the ones with the agency tools. So if they can force the side here of FPX to ever check in like that, it's just how the fight's going to go. So until FPX get a couple more items, just specifically on LWX, it feels like anyone's legend are just going to have run-of-the-mill on basically anything they want here. The most rock won't get popped by ZDZ, so that tower going to remain fairly healthy, but he's going to be scaling up really, really impressively. As take a look at the replay, and again, you know, FPX just in this choke here. Really nice flash from Zora to lock down Hacker. And no way he can go permafrost stack into all of these melee champions instantly stacking up the next permafrost for Shallow. How do you ever engage onto Sejuani, Rakan,
Yeah.
Zarya Azir, right? We're running into the same issue we've had all series long. And FPX, without that Maokai, it feels like are marginally more lost than they are with this Wukong.
Dragon's coming back up though, so that means AL want to be here and get the vision down for a potential second Dragon. You do also get that care back coming through. You want to see that vision being played with that clone as much as possible in these kinds of situations where you don't have any vision already down.
Yep, absolutely. It's a little bit easier to get vision sometimes like that, but when you're so far behind, it's obnoxious. This Dragon is just going to go down to anyone's legend, and they get the tower on the top side too, so they are just winning out across the board. And yeah, if you excuse the lack of energy here, but it does just feel like anyone's legend so easy and happy to kind of keep FPX at arm's length here because they know they can. How do you ever, go for that clinch as FPX? How do you go for that grapple? Without the Maokai and the ability to ever take priority on waves, you're always going to be losing those two. And it feels like we're slowly rolling into a very similar game state to game number 1 here, Mazel, where anyone's legend just kind of have priority on lanes, and as FPX is very difficult to walk up, and engaging also very similar deal.
The Sun Disc comes out. Let the rays shine for AL as they are chilling. Just having a little bit of fun in the side lane, fun in the sun. We do see redeploy in the mid lane though, and not much else to be spoken of here, and that's where you do question a little bit of the approach here for both teams across this series. I think this is one of the only series recently that's like, all right, well, we know what both teams are going to try to bring out every single game and see what happens, and not much changing because they feel like they found the effort to get their composition forward. And I think that's also a conversation we had for both these teams, like lacking a bit of direction. Well, we got the direction. It's the same thing every 3 games or all 3 games, but does that matter, and is that good for either side?
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, right? As Care was a minion, but unfortunately, no one was on the wave, so no one will be fooled. And you're right, it does kind of just set us a bit in podcast mode, in LCK mode, where those games can be so slow. No one really wants to interact with one another, and that's fine.
Do you remember when ZDZ got MVP with 0 KP and 0-1 and 0?
That feels like an eternity. I feel like I've aged since that happened.
That happened. That was a thing that happened. I don't think I could ever let that go. It's going to be on Coffee Before Bed later on. Now we got Hacker going down. Oh my gosh. And it's Zora that ends up picking up the kill.
Yeah, I mean, kill credit not too important here with the jungler dead and Baron spawning on 20 minutes, 10 seconds away. Anyone's legend could shove in this next wave. They've got Azir and they've got 2 IM AD carry. It's pretty doable, to be honest, if they want it. It just really depends on whether or not they're cognizant about the fact they have the choice to make that happen. And ZDZ down here Can also keep... Oh, hello. Care.
A play of games there as the flash from Carrick gonna get burned. And the Emperor's Divide comes up pretty clutch yet again. Harder actually having a pretty good series on this Azir. I was wondering how he was gonna do comparatively to Pinzi, and I think we saw Pinzi get caught out a lot in their last series. Now, though, pretty big stuff from him on the Azir and a lot of pressure to set up for Xiaohao.
Yep, absolutely. Xiaohao is going to be very, very crucial to enabling a lot of his carries. But not only that, he's going to also facilitate a lot of the time Zora's ability to, you know, follow up on his own engages, right? So Xiaohao having all of those kills, also going towards a more, like, not necessarily supportive build in traditional sense, but like he has an Evan Shroud, right? So all of the CC that he does lock down, if I remember, I think Evan Shroud is just immobilization. It could also be slows. Honestly, my memory is a bit bad on that particular one. But the damage amp is going to be crucial to, you know, push Harder and iBoy into just a couple of those more lethal ranges that perhaps without the item in tow, they wouldn't necessarily have.
Care playing a little bit of a game here, but is it a game of chicken? AL might have found him out. Care going for the Pop Blossom, can't connect. The Feather Storm from iBoy comes up clutch. Xiaohao getting low, but can't go down. Xiaohao, he's looking for it, a big shutdown. But FPX, they're screaming, they're scrambling, and the scramble ends in their death. A double kill for ZDZ, and give them the thumbs up as they walk away.
Yeah, Chocho's a good sport about it, but I think in the long run, he's going to go down here. ZDZ's got the movement speed, Harder's got the dash over the wall, and Chocho has no side of the map to retreat to. And Anyone's Legend find themselves a really solid fight in the mid lane. They're going to be able to pick up this Baron, and it should go on to all 5 members as well as the death timers. Quite short, only 22 minutes into this one. FPX. Can Hacker make a minute? No, Baron's gone. Right. Oh, wait. Harder stop DPSing. Harder stop DPSing. Oh, okay. It's good. It's fine.
Chill, man. Chill, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, one thing I really do want to highlight is the engage comes out from Anyone's Legend. It is a little bit split. I think Care kind of is in 2 minds about who he wants to go on here, and it means that there's no confirmed lockdown on either target, right? You go on Xiaohao, it's probably pretty confirmed. He's thinking about iBoy, but then acknowledges that not only does he have Cleanse and Flash, he has the ultimate. As Harder's disengage Shurima Shuffle there, means that he just pushes them into the waiting arms of iBoy, into the waiting arms of Harder, as Dragon will go down. And it was Legend, 1 away from Salt with this Baron, 2 minutes left to play with it. You imagine they'll start to strip away some of those inner structures that are up and available for FPX.
And Harder's been so clutch. I know I was highlighting him earlier with those Emperor's Divide, but honestly, he's been pretty stable in this series so far for Anyone's Legend. Maybe not something you could say about him before, but he is also the 1v1 king from the offseason, by the way. Harder, who once had one of the most majestic mullets I've ever seen in my entire life, who does not have one anymore.
Oh,
but in 2022,
sorry. Keep going with the narrative. I forgot he had the mullet.
Well, no, in 2022 he won 1v1. The 1v1 king. I forget what it was called. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I entirely forgot about the mullet, and it was so
every time I see him, I have to talk about it because like it's literally one of the most epic mullets I've ever seen. But it's gone. It's gone and forgotten now. We don't have to talk about that, I guess.
No more. But what we do have to talk about is this game, Mazel and Anyone's Legend with the Baron buff. They took that tier 2 on the bottom side quite quickly. This tier 2 in the mid lane is also suffering the same fate, and ZDZ is up here with the Baron and now the support of the rest of his team to finish off the job. And with 60 seconds left, if they can make quick work of this tower, they can even maybe play with the idea of breaking open the base. But right now, FPX actually being given the opportunity to clear away a lot of this wave, and it's gone. So could just mean, for now, the siege is almost finished. Harder not going to sit in the mid lane wave, and actually as a whole, Anyone's Legend just going to look for the reset to spend some gold.
Go spend those big full pockets, as you got that 3-item spike, maybe a little bit coming online for a majority of members, but majorly iBoy, which is pretty big. And again, this is an AL roster who have not won since week 2. We have a gauntlet of a split. They beat TT, but they have had disheartening losses across the table here. And I specifically love to see that they've shown so much heart throughout their journey. We've seen Xiao Hao cry. We've seen AL posting and wanting to be successful. And series against FPX was the moment they needed. And it feels like they're onwards to that trajectory. Yes, 7,000 gold may not be the singing lady to end the game, but FPX are on the back foot and they're reeling right now.
Yeah, they are. FPX. The options super limited. Harder, harder. All right.
Pushes them back. Again, you come for it, you get the Emperor's Divide.
Yeah, I mean, ultimate blown, but man, harder. Definitely needs to check himself a little bit. Doesn't really want to give over those tools so easily. My boy. So stepping a little bit far forward there, but won't get punished. And FPX able to defend,
but damage.
Yeah, that's my big problem right now. Like, FPX are so limited in the damage department. They actually are eventually going to chunk out harder after a while. But even in saying that, like, you know, both the objectives 2 minutes away. This is just Anyone's Legend putting pressure down onto FPX because there are no objectives on the map. They can very happily just look for a reset if they absolutely need to and look to secure those areas of vision for those objectives.
These are important, but the one right now that is the most important for AL is the Dragon coming up. Try to get this soul under lock. But the thing is, the timers are coming up even. You got about 10 seconds difference or so, and that also leaves open some room for some trading to happen.
It does, but we'll get to it when you come to it, right? I think for FPX, it's always a bit of a catch-22. So Anyone's Legend are going to be able to have mid lane priority, let's say in like 30 seconds time, right? They're going to shove in this next wave. It looks like LWX is going to get to this one first in particular, but after this, they're going to shove in the wave after, and then they'll be able to move into whatever side of the map they want. They can very happily trade one Chemtech Dragon for Baron, and then look to like break the base open, end the game even. Or they can just take the Dragon super quick, and then presumably if FPX can't actually kill the Baron that quick, then yeah, they can just contest that as well. It's really up to them, as long as they don't get caught out by something like Care. Turning into a minion doesn't look like that'll be the case.
Playing some dodging simulators here for Hacker. Does take a decent amount of damage there though. Wanting to set up for this positioning here. They got control wards out and ready to go. You got a side lane pushing ZDZ. All TPs available here. We want to do contest this. Does FPX actually back away?
Yeah, they have to. ZDZ's 3 items as well. He's got the Zhonya's and the Black Cleaver. Not going towards the Hull Breaker. Sometimes you see that as a second item instead, but this particular build path more about team fighting than anything else. So if he gets involved, he's going to be very, very crucial. As here we go. Anyone's Legend, they're in.
Going in. Hacker is low, but can you go? ZDZ on the back here. He wants a flank. He wants to find Hacker. He finds a big one, but the nice Emperor's Divide Harder is pushing everybody back. FPX find 2 though for LWX, and he's excited as the Blade Collar comes back for AL. The smoke settles, and we have a trade back and forth here.
Yeah, I mean, both junglers are dead though. That's the important thing. So I don't know if either team is really going to feel comfortable in actually starting up this Dragon. Teleport's coming out from Care, who just had to go back to base and reset. Anyone's Legend, they're dragging this one out.
No
junglers.
Still the
risk of it being stolen.
50-50
so it's just a 50-50.
No way! Oh, no! Care! He steals the Dragon! AL, though, they will not take that lying down. And ZDZ gets one back. He's looking for Care. The counter-strike lands, and a double kill for the top laner of ZDZ.
All right, well, Anyone's Legend, they don't get the soul. It does get stolen away by the pop of the Q by Care, but, I mean, they should be able to secure the Baron, surely. And off the back of that Baron, so much more should be secured. The base should get cracked open. Hell, I mean, they should realistically be able to almost, if not entirely, end the game. They almost have a 10,000 gold lead. They will have a 10,000 gold lead, Mazel, once they pick up this Baron.
They're right onto it as well. And right as rain is AL in this game 3. They lost a disheartening one in game 2. It was a really fast affair. 24 minutes, just under 25. And now they are taking a 30-minute game right now that is holistically in their favor.
Yep, entirely is. And it's Anyone's Legend who go in for this engage here. They look for LWX, but Hacker actually stops iBoy and Harder from advancing and putting in any additional follow-up DPS on the setup there. And look at this. Flashed away from by iBoy, but still connects onto two members there in Harder and Zora. And Xiaohao is entirely by himself. Gets killed, I believe, by either an auto attack or the Gale Force, either or. And whilst all that was going on, ZDZ's flank was just a little bit too slow to the play, unfortunately, or Anyone's Legend were too fast for ZDZ. Either way, the result is the same, and they flip the dragon. They flip it. The feathers don't quite get pulled back in time. And the Q actually stills in. LWX resets off that dragon, though. He gets excited. Very fortunate that nothing else actually comes of it, and it goes the way of Anyone's Legend instead.
Well, we're back into the swing of things here. ZDZ taking some pressure. Does deal some back on a hacker. But it's a 2-minute Baron buff push for AL.
Yeah, they've got 2 minutes left of it. They really want to try and end this game. They don't want to allow Jinx to scale up anymore. And Zora.
A little bit of a catch out here. It's the tower they want, though. They want to get this inhib here as well, but there is some pressure given back from FPX. It's now Harder was actually moving from top to mid. Now they will group back up. ZDZ still on the side, though.
Yeah, he's so powerful.
Oh, ZDZ is all by himself. Okay.
No, he's fine. Don't forget he's got Zhonya's as well, so he can buy so much additional time for the rest of Anyone's Legend. Don't really be too afraid for him to just step up and take this inhibitor, and he's going to do it very, very happily. He's got 2 cannon minions to work with as well. Looks like he's just going to put a little bit of pressure on FPX to try and back away from this inhib tower in the mid lane instead.
ZDZ with that little bit of a flank angle there was able to get some pressure so that AL could take the tower. Both, at least inhib towers are down in mid and bot. You still got to work on the inhib in mid, but now you have a bunch of pressure to play off of from bot.
You do. And I feel like for Anyone's Legend, reset here. You can probably just open out onto the top side of the map and then also play for mid at the same time. I don't think you're too fussed about the bot lane waves anymore, Mazel. I think with the dragon spawning in a little over 90 seconds time, it could just draw them back to the bottom side though, so we'll see what their choices are surrounding this. ZDZ is going to be a nice top laner and hand over the blue buff to Harder. But yeah, I think for Anyone's Legend, the world is their oyster right now. You know, they're up over 10,000 gold, and FPX, you know, their options of scaling really are limited to just LWX inside of the Jinx, and they have to hope that maybe Xiaolahu gets a really good flank and that LWX can get excited. If that doesn't happen, I feel afraid that they may just be written off from this series.
You got AL moving in now into FPX. You got ZDZ on the side lane with a TP available. Do FPX just want to try to catch out the member they find waiting? It's a big moment of decision for them as they just needed a little bit of time, but the time is getting thin here.
The ice is getting thin, and it feels like FPX are a seal.
Might as well swim.
On an iceberg, and they're about to be mauled by a polar bear. I mean, it's pretty bad swimming against polar bear. Do you know how scary those things are?
They are. They're absolutely terrifying.
They
are literally apex predators of a barren wasteland. iBoy, though, trying to be the apex predator of AL's barren wasteland. In the amount of aggression that he's able to put through right now might actually have made them back off, because he put damage back into Hacker.
Yeah, he did. The feather pullback was insane. He blew the flash, but he didn't lose
no!
the armor. Hacker!
You can't go down here. You've got to stay out. The wild growth has come through. FPX feel like they have to fight here. AL with the front to back. Maybe they go through. ZDZ gets caught. Pop Blossom goes through. This looks good for FPX, but a big pushback from Harder. Oh my God! AL, they decimate FPX. They've snuffed the fire out. And Anyone's Legend are looking at a second series win of their summer split.
When you put pandas up against the heat, I guess they're just fire resistant. ZDZ looks so lost at the front of that team fight, and FPX maybe had a window for LWX to open up, but it's Anyone's Legend who make the turnaround with Harder.
Look at the hype coming out from ZDZ. He was literally just waiting to celebrate over and over again, and here he goes. Congratulations. Step up the plate and giving Chocho a little bit of worry here, but wants to give him a little bit of a hug. You love to see it. And it's an incredible performance from Anyone's Legend. We've seen the tribulations from this team, and they will take this dub wholeheartedly from FPX.
Yeah, and you'd love to see that little bit of, you know, sportsmanship camaraderie. Clearly, ZDZ and Chocho very, very comfortable with one another as they take their bow on the stage here in Shanghai. And I mean, a well-earned win, right? I think ZDZ had a very, very strong series despite getting picked off in that final team fight. It looked spooky for anyone's legend, but as a team, right? Very, very happy to play the composition throughout majority of that series and acknowledge that, you know, playing this kind of disengaged style, waiting for FPX to try and pounce and just keeping them at arm's length was the way to go here, and it pays dividends in the end.
It does indeed. And you got to give a special shout out to anyone's legend who up and down, they've been kind of back and forth with a lot of their roster. Z and Pinzy taking a lot of time as well, but